Hello, strangers in the dark, fellow ghosts in the system. If you're hearing this, then maybe you've been chewed up by the same machine. Maybe they fed your name to someone too. A name, just letters stitched together, turned into a meal, a target, a contract. Because they knew what they were doing. They always do. They didn't just want you gone. No, see, that's too clean, too boring for them. What they wanted was poetry. They wanted you to vanish, in pieces, slowly, beautifully. They didn't want silence. They wanted the sound of your undoing. So they picked someone broken, a sociopath, no empathy, no hesitation, no conscience. He was designed to not flinch. He didn't need a reason to ruin you. They handed him your name like it was candy and said, "Chew slow." And he did. He studied your moves, memorized your smile, dug up your past. He made a home in your weaknesses, found joy in your fears, and still, you didn't hate him. You couldn't. Because you saw what they refused to see. He wasn't a monster. He was just their mirror, a reflection of their cruelty, wrapped in flesh. They weaponized someone already hollow. But here's what they forgot. Even a hollow man echoes, and sometimes, when you're listening closely enough in the silence, even a sociopath can hear himself, and what he heard was you. Not your screams, not your cries, but your stillness, your refusal to collapse, your inconvenient persistence. You were supposed to fold, you were supposed to shatter, but you didn't, and that broke him. Because somewhere between the manipulation and the mission, he began to wonder, why does this one not beg? Why does this one still stand? Why can't I look away? And that was the beginning of his fall. Not because you fought back, but because you didn't need to. You see, he thought your silence meant weakness. But it was a mirror, and in it, he saw everything he wasn't allowed to feel. He wasn't hired to learn. He wasn't designed to feel sorry. But guilt is a virus, and he caught it from you. The man who was supposed to finish you now can't finish a sentence without your name dragging behind it, because it haunts him. He remembers what they told him. He's nothing. He's fragile. He's a liability. He's finished. But none of it was true, because you were the test, and he failed. You didn't turn him to your side. You didn't need to. You just reminded him that pain isn't the same as power. You made him feel the one thing they'd carved out of him like a tumor. And now he doesn't sleep. He doesn't speak your name out loud, but it's the only one he thinks about when the lights go out. Because he didn't just lose, he inherited something. He carries your guilt now. He carries the weight of what they asked him to do. He carries the memory of your eyes looking through him, not at him, but through him, like he was already lost. And he was. They thought they were feeding you to the wolves, but they didn't realize you've lived with wolves your whole life. You know how to stare them down. You know how to bleed without fear. You know how to whisper to the monster and make him cry. You didn't just survive. You rewired the weapon. You turned their sharpest tool into your most broken witness. And now, the same sociopath they trusted to erase you has become a walking monument to your strength. Every step he takes, every corner he turns, he drags behind him a chain forged from his own regret. That's the real revenge, not fire, not fury, but the echo of your calm. That turned his world upside down. He can't undo what he did, but he can never do it again. Because your name, your story, rewrote the code inside him. He was supposed to be empty, now he's heavy. They wanted him to wear your destruction like a medal, but he wears it like a scar. And you walk free, not because he let you, but because you refused to become what they feared. And now the man who was supposed to bury you, he walks like a funeral with no body, because the only ghost left is him, and the only name left on his tongue is yours. So here's to the ones who are fed to the dark, but learn to make the darkness choke on them. You don't need revenge. You already are the consequence, and they're still feeding people your name. But none of them come back whole. Not anymore. You see, what they never accounted for was contamination. They sent him in to infect you with doubt, with fear, but instead you infected him with memory. And memory is lethal to someone who's been trained to forget. They taught him to erase, to reduce people to profiles, to smile without warmth, to speak without meaning, to hurt without consequence. But he saw your face, and it didn't flinch. He saw your hands trembling, but they still held the line. He saw your name written across a file, but it didn't match the fire that stood in front of him. That contradiction. It rewired him, bent his frame, scratched his lenses, and now he sees everything too clearly. He knows what he did. He knows who ordered it. He knows he said yes. And that yes, it doesn't stop echoing. He walks into empty rooms and still hears your voice, not screaming, but breathing. Steady, calm, like it doesn't care what he did, like it knew he would fall, like your survival wasn't a lucky escape, but a design flaw in their entire system. You weren't just a mistake they tried to delete. You were the glitch they couldn't debug. The file that corrupted the whole operation. And now they don't send him on missions anymore. He's not trusted with names, not since he broke protocol and left yours untouched. Oh, they tried to cover it up. They rewrote the narrative, said you were irrelevant, said he never found you. But he knows the truth. He remembers, and it eats at him. He sees your eyes in reflections, in windows, in puddles, in rearview mirrors. He hears your silence louder than any gunfire. He can't unfeel what you made him feel. And that is your legacy. Not just that you lived, not just that you endured, but that you infected the weapon they built to destroy you. You made a killer feel shame. You made a machine freeze at the thought of your forgiveness. And now he carries it, like a tumor behind his ribs, like static in his mind. He can't tell anyone. They wouldn't understand. They'd pull him apart if they knew that you, the target, the supposed nothing, the one they marked for erasure, left a wound inside their perfect predator. And here's the part that haunts him the most. You could have broken him publicly. You could have exposed the truth. You could have named him, shamed him, ruined him, but you didn't. You left the door open and walked away. You let him live with it, with the guilt, with the echoes, with you, because you knew. Some scars are worse than death. Some truths don't need an audience, and some victories don't need applause. Just a cold shadow, a quiet street, and the look in a former killer's eyes when he realizes he doesn't get to forget. Not you, not what he did, not the weight of a name he was supposed to destroy, but now protects in silence. He was their weapon, but you were their consequence. They fed a sociopath your name. Now he whispers it like a prayer he doesn't deserve to say. And so now he walks the edge, not as a threat, not as a hero, but as something in between. A man haunted by the mercy of the one he was sent to bury. You didn't kill him. You didn't need to. You gave him something far worse, a conscience, and nowhere to hide from it. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees you, not with vengeance, but with pity. And that pity, that's the nail in his spine. because you shouldn't have looked at him like that. You shouldn't have seen the boy under the bruises, the shame under the steel. You weren't supposed to understand him. You were supposed to hate him. You were supposed to become like him. But you didn't. Instead, you watched the executioner lower his blade, and you forgave him for raising it. That's what they don't teach in the labs, in the war rooms, in the interrogation chairs. They don't prepare their monsters for grace. And now he stares at your silence like it's a sermon. He walks with your name like it's a sentence. He holds your memory like a match, afraid to light it, but terrified to let it die. Because if he lets it go, what's left of him? You broke the rules. You turned their creature into a man again. And that man, that hollowed out, surgically remorseless shell of a man, now hurts where they carved away his soul. You didn't ruin him. You returned him to pain, to guilt, to humanity, and now he wears your name in his chest. Not as a victory, but as a wound that will never heal. And you keep walking. You don't look back. You don't gloat. You don't explain. Because people like you, people who've been fed to monsters and crawled out clean, don't need revenge. You are the closing chapter. He was sent to end your story, but now he's the one stuck in it, rewriting your name in his mind, begging the silence for a way out, trapped in a cage you never built. But he walked into all the same, so let them talk. Let them whisper that you disappeared. Let them believe they broke you. They'll never know the truth, that somewhere out there, the man they trusted to erase you now spends his nights keeping your name alive. Not because he was told to, but because you made him remember. And that is the sharpest kind of justice, the coldest kind of power, the quietest kind of victory. You didn't just survive, you rewrote the ending, and he'll carry that ending for the rest of his life.